Them come back till they have it right. I mean, with Dharma it's okay, but with pronunciation, nah. Okay? It just messes them up. If they don't know it perfectly, don't let them go on to the next one. Test them. Okay? By the way, I'm sorry, I left out one thing from class 3. I didn't teach you how to jorlok it. Okay, I didn't teach you how to CAT cat it. Okay? So pretend I'm still in class 3. Alright? The word in Tibetan for joined or glued together, and in Madhyamika philosophy for imputed, actually, is tak. Okay? So when you jorlok it with me. Ra, it's rolled, right? Ruffles have ridges, right? Ra, katak, ka. You see, that's how you jorlok it. It's ra with a ka, but it's glued onto it makes ka. You see what I mean? We'll do it again. Ra, katak, ka. So the last thing you say is what it sounds like after everything's finished. Ra, ka, tak, ka. Which means in Tibetan, ra with a ka glued to the bottom of it equals ka. Ra with a ka glued on it makes ka. In Tibetan, ra, ka, tak, ka. Okay? But you say the tak fast. Okay? Ra, ka, tak, ka. We'll do another one. Sa, gatak, ga. Sa, gatak, ga. Now when I say the gatak, do I use the sound of ga before it got the head letter? Or do I use the sound of ga after it got the head letter? Do I say ka-tak? Or do I say gatak? I believe the first one is probably correct, but the way they do it nowadays is the other way. I mean, they say sa-gatak. They're already anticipating the final sound. Okay. Now whether that's correct, I'm not sure. I'm suspicious, but that's how they do it. Okay. Sa, gatak, ga. Sa, gatak, ga. Although we have to check that. And I'm not sure, probably, who we're going to check is questionable because there's probably 100 Tibetans left who pronounce Tibetan perfectly, you know. Sa, gatak, ga. Okay. That's all. It's just tak. You just add tak. Okay. What column is that tak? Did I say tak or talk or dak or tak? It's not tak. First, okay? All right? It should have been, the response should have been faster. Okay. More coffee. Less cookies. Okay. Now we go to class 4, which is subjoined letters. Remember that I drew the ya in Sanskrit for you? You see? So when you add a ya now below a letter, you see what I mean? You go like this. This is a normal ka. And this is a ka with a subjoined letter. You see where it came from? If you don't know Sanskrit, you might not appreciate where it came from. Okay.
What is the Sanskrit sound for that thing?
Ya.
Ya?
And this is ya in Tibetan. You see what I mean? This came from here. Sanskrit letters came from Devanagari. And then they were changed slightly. Okay. There are lots of variants on the Sanskrit letters. There's a Lancha script, there's a Devanagari script, there's other scripts. Okay. How is it pronounced? Exactly as you would expect. Say, kya. By the way, Westerners tend to forget their columns when they get to the subjoined letters. Most Westerners will say, kya. Don't say, kya, all right? It's what? Kya. Kya. Don't forget high, hard. Ka. With a ya, makes kya. And don't get lazy and go, kya. Okay? It sounds weird to a Tibetan. Ouch. Okay. How would you jorlok it? Let's use that old dak again. Ka, yatak, kya. Ka, yatak, kya. Because so many Tibetan syllables are homonyms. Like no. How do you spell no? Yeah. How do you spell, how do you spell two? T-O. Oh, no, it's that. No, it's that. No, it's that. Okay? This is a bigger problem in Tibetan. So jorlok is more important. You will often hear people in debate ground, jorlok that. What are you talking about? You know, tokpa, ratatatano toga, tokpa, means to have a wrong idea. Ratatatano toga sat tokpa means to realize the truth. Which one are you talking about? You said jorlok it. You know what I mean? So you have to know jorlok. It's much more important in Tibetan than in English. I heard the problem is so bad in Japanese that when you're talking to somebody, you might often be drawing the character for them. You see what I mean? Because there's so many homonyms. These all sound the same. They all have different meaning, right? So kayata kya. You have to know how to jorlok is what I'm saying. We'll skip ra because it's a hard one. And we're going to go back to it. Okay, we're going to go back to ra. Don't worry, we'll do it. But the other ones are so easy. Let's polish them off first. So the ya sound is predictable, okay? You just add a ya sound at the end of the thing. And frankly, it's only ka, ka, and ka, which take heavy-duty yas. It's only ka yata kya, ka yata kya, ka yata kya, and almost no other letter gets a yatak, which is convenient, okay? In Sanskrit, you'll have sa taking a ya, sya, and you'll have ra taking a ya, like arya, okay? But those are very unusual, okay? La, subjoined to any letter, makes a high tone la, okay? What was the normal tone of la? What row was it in? It was in row number 6. What was the rule for row number 6? Medium. I'm sorry. Yeah, 5 was, sorry. Yeah, you're right. I'm sorry. Yeah, la is in row 7 and it's mid-tone. But when it gets subjoined to another letter, the whole thing becomes a high tone la. Okay? I like to do this. When you teach your students, go like this. Equals. Okay? How do you pronounce this? I'll say it. La. How do you pronounce this? La. How do you pronounce this? La. Okay? How do you pronounce this? La. You see? Medium tone. La. 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 Got it? Easy. By the way, lama is this one. La. Lama. Okay? This word means at. I'm trying to think what this one means. It doesn't come by itself. This one means easy, this one means lama. You see what I mean? These two are homonyms. La, la. They sound exactly the same. You have to ask somebody to jorloke it. Okay, could you jorloke that, please? I don't know whether you're talking about a lama or easy. Okay. How would you jorloke it? You know. Say ka, latak, la. I think this one means wages, but anyway. Sa, latak, la. Pa, Brazil, right? Pa, latak, la. That's all. One nasty exception. Here's a normal one, by the way. Say sa. Sa. This should have been la, right? Everything is the same, la, right? But this is an exception. When this letter gets a subjoined la, it becomes nasty. Nda. Okay, nda. Do you say the N very strong? This is called a pre-nasal. Pre means before. Nasal means that. A slight N sound before the D. Okay, very slight. Nda. Nda. Okay. This is, by the way, the word for moon. Ndawa. 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 Is it the first column, ta? No. Is it the second column, ta? No. Is it the Brazil? Ta. No. Is it the head letter, D? Da, like a dog? No, because it's got this little N sound in front of it. Now we got another one. We got 5 now. Da. Da. And if you can make these distinctions, your Tibetan will be perfect. Beautiful. Tibetans will say, wow, you speak really well. And they won't know why. But if you're not speaking and taking out all the aspirations, you're starting to sound like that. And if you don't know all this stuff, you'll sound like that to a Tibetan. You see what I mean? And they won't know why. You don't go there and say, oh, my Indian friends don't, they unaspirate all the aspirants. You don't accuse them of unaspirating all their aspirants. They just sound funny. And that, if you don't learn all this stuff, you'll sound funny.
So can you join with that?
Yeah. Sa, latak, nda. Sa, latak, nda. A prenasal is more pronounced or more strong when it comes after what we call an open vowel. Okay? I'll give you an example. Jorloke this for me. Sa. Sa. Katak. Ka. Shapkyu. Ku. Okay? Ku. Ku means holy body. Ku sung tuk. Body of the Buddha. It's an honorific for body. The high word for body. Okay? When you have a da after it, what's da? Nda, right? If you say it fast, what does it sound like? Kunda. Kunda. Okay, why? Because it has an open vowel sound. It has a big fat oo in front of it. And then the N has room to move. You see what I mean? Kunda. So then the N gets really strong. Kunda. And all Tibetans who don't spell right will actually spell this word wrong and put a na on it. Because they hear a na there. You see? They hear an N sound. So they'll write an N in there. And there is no N in there. Ganden is the same. Ganden Monastery. There is no N in Ganden in the beginning. You see what I mean? It's a prenasal. So kunda. Da is a cute word. Da means to replicate anything. You see? Why is the moon called Ndawa? It's the second to the sun. You see what I mean? It's the repeat of the sun. Kunda means a spouse. It's the honorific for spouse, a body mate. You see? Dorje Gomde. Dorje Sembe Gomde. Vajrasattva practice. Gom means meditate. De is spelled like this. And it means to recite a mantra over. You're doubling, doubling, doubling. You see what I mean? In the way that the moon is the double of the sun. In the way that a spouse is the double of the other spouse. You see what I mean? It's a beautiful word. It means the doubling of anything, which means the repeating of anything. So you don't say sla, okay? It's not coleslaw or anything like that, right? It's nda, okay? The only exception with the lataks. Was it the corner off of here? In which case it's Arthur, and I forget which one they decided. Okay, I don't remember. Okay, Ngawan Tundip told me, and I don't remember. Okay, you can look it up in the grammar text. All right, how do you attach it to something? Here you go. Another example would be this. What does it do to the pronunciation? Nothing. Nothing. How do you pronounce this one? Sha. How do you pronounce this one? Sha. Okay. Do you say ZHE? No, thank you. That's the transcription. Okay. It's not the pronunciation. Okay. Sha. Sha. Ga. Ga. Then why bother putting it there? Because this means deer and this means hat. Okay? All right? Okay? This is a pillar and this is a crow. I believe. So, that's the reason you put it.
What's the first one?
Deer. Like an animal deer. And this is a hat. Shamu. Okay? And that's the only function of the poor little wasser. Okay? How do you transcribe it? How do you do the pronunciation? I'm going to drill you on this. I want to drill it into you. It drives me nuts to see all these poor Tibetan Dharma centers get weird names, because they're confusing transliteration with pronunciation. Sha. And this pronunciation? Sha. Same thing. Transcription, ja. Transcription, we use a V. Because V is available because Tibetan doesn't have a V, okay? Nor do they have an F. And that's why they say, it's fine with me if you want to come in your van. Okay? Okay? Try to teach a Tibetan V, it's like teaching a foreigner nga. Van, wan, van, wan. I'm fine, I'm pine, fine, pine. Okay? All right? Drives you crazy. That's why Tibetan teachers who teach foreigners are like, ga, and the guy goes, ka. And they go, no, ga, and they go, ka. And you go, no, it's ka. And they're like, ka. And they can't hear it, you see what I mean? What's this letter? By the way, I'll show you a relative size, okay? Pronounce. It's not ha, because that was the next to last letter of the alphabet. It's not a, which was the last letter of the alphabet. It's in the 6th row, so it's ah, ah, okay, ah. Ah, this is ka, and ka with a little ah on it is no change in the pronunciation in Tibetan, okay? Ka. They don't do anything to it. Ka. We'll get to that, okay? This is a full-sized ah, so we call it ah. This is a little ini insi winsi ah, so we call it ah chung. Chung means small in Tibetan, okay? So when you jaw locate, what do? Ga, achung, ga. No change in the pronunciation. Ga, achung, ga. So why do they put it? This is not for orthographic purposes per se. This is not to separate deer from hat or something like that. This is to indicate the long vowel in Sanskrit. It only is used in Sanskrit. Okay? It's to distinguish the long vowel. What do I mean? Shastra in Sanskrit has one meaning. Shastra has a different meaning. If I got it straight, and I don't claim I have it straight, I think I forgot. I believe Shastra is a sword, and Shastra is a commentary. You see what I mean? So this is just for indicating the long A in Sanskrit. How do we do that? In Western scholarship, it's with a macron. Okay? This is how they distinguish a short A from a long A in Sanskrit. Okay? What's the sound difference? This is a, and this is a. You see what I mean? Shastra, 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 Shastra. Okay. That's all the subjoined letters except for Ra, which is a nasty one. But let's do that, and then we'll take a larger break. Okay. When you do this, draw your students a chart. Here's the chart. And do it a grid like that. It has to look like that or they won't get it right. Okay. What columns do we have here, by the way? Yeah, we have pieces of the first, second, and third column. We have pieces of the first, second, and third column. All of these three letters, well, I'll wait till you write it. These all share the same sound, right? Kachitabetsa, ka, seka, ta, pa, ka, ta, pa. All similar, right? Now aspirate them. Ka, ta, pa. Like you're tired. I call it the tired column, you know. Ka, ta, pa. Okay, now we get to Brazil. Ka, ta, pa. Remember your columns. Set them up like that. Set them up, your students up like that. Now we add the rataks. Now we subjoin the ra. Okay. What part of the ra do you subjoin? Chop it off. Here. Okay. This gets like that. This gets like that. If it doesn't have some place to stick it on conveniently, draw a descender. We call it a descender. Add a line. And then give it. See what I mean? Does ka have a nice corner in the bottom right hand side to glue something onto? No. So you add a descender. Here there is a nice corner, so let's just stick it there. Here there's a nice corner. This one is nowhere to go, so let's add something. Same here. Same here. And we just subjoined all those ras. How would you jorlock it? Oh, we got to learn how to say it first. Let's start with this row. Start them with this second row that's here. It's not the real second row, right? We left out all the cha row. Okay. Let's start with this row here. There's a very cool way to teach this easily, and they'll do it perfect. And then there's a cruddy way to teach it, and they'll always pronounce it wrong. Okay? You're going to do it the right way. Say it as it is. Ta, 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 ta. Now I'll ask you to say ta a couple times again. Ta, 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 ta. Is it a labial or a dental or a guttural or a palatal? It's a dental. Why? Does it touch your dentals? No, it's right behind your front teeth. Check it out. Da. Close your eyes. Da. 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 Touch the part of your mouth at the top of your mouth where the tongue is hitting against, right? Da. Da. It's right behind your teeth. It's that little ridge right behind your teeth. Okay? Da. 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 Mark that spot with an X, okay? You need that spot, okay? Do it again. Da. 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 Now tell me what part of your tongue is making contact with the top of your mouth. Do it again. Da. 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 It's not really the tip of your tongue, one part. It's just back from the tip of your tongue, right? It's right about here, okay? All right. Do it again. Da. 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 Now point to the tip of your tongue. It's like here, right? Hit that same spot in your mouth with the very tip of your tongue, and you'll make the sound perfect. Da. 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 Two things happen. Two things happen. It looks really weird. Your mouth, your mouth should go through some change. Like Pelma's dog, okay? If you've ever seen it, you know. Okay, sweet dog. Okay, do it again. Da. You get this grin. You see what I mean? Da. Da. If you get the grin, you're doing it right. If you don't get the grin, you're doing it wrong. If it feels natural, you're doing it wrong. If it feels weird, you're doing it right. Okay? Da. 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 How are you? Da. All right? And Westerners never get this one right. And that's the trick. Teach it to them that way, and they'll do it perfect. You have to go home and tra all day, okay? It's not natural. You'll start going tra, tra. I'll show you something cool. What Tibetan letter is that? TR. Is it tra? Is it tra? No, it's cha, truck. It's a palatal. It's got nothing to do with T or R. Cha, truck. Truck. You say C-H-R-U-K. Truck. You don't say truck. You know, Indians say truck. Okay? It's fun. It's funny. You know, when we ratak something, we also screw it up. It's not tra. It's not trashi dele. It's not trashi dele or trashy dele or something like that. Okay? It's ta, trashi dele. Trashi dele. It's called a retroflex. In linguistics, this is called retroflex. Why? Retro means back. Retrofit, retroactive. Okay. Flex means to bend. Okay. So retroflex means you bend your tongue up until the tip of the tongue. If you want to emphasize it, hit just under the tip of the tongue. Da. And then you really got it. Da. Da. Okay. Da. It is not ta-ra. Okay. Don't try to say ta-ra or something like that. You just drop it. Da. Don't say tra. Da. Bend that tongue back and hit it behind the tooth. Da. Da. And don't try to say TR. It's not ta-ra or something like that. It's just one boom. Da. Da. Dashi-dane. Dashi-dane. And that's correct. Okay, that's the correct pronunciation. So we got, now, focus your mind on the qualities of the columns. Don't forget the qualities of the columns. This is da. Say it again. Strong. Da. Da. Then this is aspirated. Ta. Ta. Say, she's got a really good, you got a good smile. Ta. Ta. Now do Brazil with a smile. Ta. Ta. Okay. Ta. And then you have it perfect. Okay, that's perfect. What if this had a head letter? Da. You see? Da. Da. It's not Brazil anymore if it has a head letter, right? It changes to dog. And if you ratak it, it changes to dog. Dog. And that's not the same as ta. Ta. Da is not the same as ta. Without the head letter, ta. With the head letter, da. And you have to get used to that. You know, go over this part of the tape over and over again. With the without a head letter, ta. With a head letter, da. But the tongue is in the same place. Okay? Right? With a head letter, sorry, without a head letter, ta. With a head letter, da. Okay, completely different words. Completely different sounds. Da means sound or Sanskrit grammar. Ta means a monk or a net. Okay, so completely different sounds. Okay, now I'll tell you something really cool, and we are finished with rataks. And teach it this way. This is an equal sign. You gotta just bend your head. Okay. Ka. Wake up, you guys. Ka. You don't have to absorb everything. I'm doing 6 weeks of stuff in one day. And don't try to, don't get a headache, and don't try to remember everything. Just flow with it. In Tibetan Buddhist monasteries, it's very common for 15-year-olds to come to the advanced classes, and they just sit there and be in the flow. And they don't try to understand everything, but it's some kind of bakchak. It's a seed. Okay. Ka. So don't try to remember what I'm saying. Just recite it. Ka. Ratak, which means stuck a ra on the bottom of it. Tak, right? Ka. Ratak. Ta. Ka. I'm sorry. Ta. Ratak. Ta. Pa. Ratak. Ta. They're all the same. Ta ta ta. Cool. Easy. It should have been gra. It's not. It should have been para. It's not. Okay, if you want to get your teacher mad, go paratak pra, and then go boom. Okay? It's all ta, okay? Karatata, taratata, paratata, karatata, taratata. You're tired, right? Paratata, karatata, taratata, paratata. That's all. They're all the same. Okay? They're all the same. It's easy. Okay? It's easy. Depends on if you meet a cute Italian guy or not. Okay. All right. 2 exceptions, unfortunately. By themselves, they are sa and ma, right? Low tone here. Sa, ma. When you add a ratak, nothing changes. Okay? We'll jorlok it. Ready? Sa, ratak, what? No change. Okay? Sa, ratak, sa. What's the difference? Orthographic. Spelling difference. The sounds are the same. Sa without the subjoined ra means earth. Sa with the subjoined ra means hard or solid. And obviously they're related, but they're not spelled the same. Okay? Ma, ratak, ma. Okay? That's all. Easy. I'm not covering the use of ratak and other subjoined letters in Sanskrit that's written with Tibetan letters, in which case it would be something like amrita, or Sanskrita, or, I'm not going to get into that. You do pronounce them when you get to try Triratna, Then you don't say Triratna. You see what I mean? Although Tibetans do. You see, that they mispronounce. And I can defend them on some things, like Tsa, Kala Chakra, Vajra. That's correct. But when they don't pronounce a ratak, when they turn it into a retroflex, it's not ta ratak, it's not tiyana, triratna, the 3 gems. It's triratna, right? But they can't do a 3. This is why, by the way, Tibetans have trouble with certain English combinations like SM or ST. They can't do it. One of my lamas still says Buddha sit, because they don't have a st. You see, they can't say stop. They say sit up. You see, they can't say smile. They say simile, because they don't have it. You see what I mean? We finished all the subjoined letters. Okay, we are going 90 miles an hour. Just enjoy it. Have some coffee. Don't worry about it. Is this sound all right? Does it bother you? No problem. Okay. You're not falling asleep yet, I think. To me, that would put me to sleep. I don't know. But just about everything else does, too. Okay, we're going to do suffix letters, which in Tibetan is called genjuk. Say genjuk. Genjuk. Genjuk means after stuck. After, comes after. Okay, genjuk. We're going to do genjuks. All right? There are 10. And there's a poetry for Tibetan grammar that you can learn. There's a short poem. It's called something like The Wishing Tree or something. Anyway, it says, Kangadana Bama Arala Satana, you know, Genjukte. There are 10. 10 of the 30 letters in the Tibetan alphabet can serve as suffix letters. What are they? Ka, Na, Ta, Na, Pa, Ma, A, Na, Sa. Oh, suffix means it's at the end of the sound. Like if you say Sam, the name Sam, the M would be a suffix letter. It comes at the end of the sound, end of the consonant. Okay, suffix means comes at the end. Okay. How many we got? I hope it's 10. Okay, 10 suffix letters. Okay.
Is that dot used mainly to separate letters in writing?
Yeah, separates syllables. Okay. It's a syllable separator. We'll do some easy examples. Say lock. Lock. So ka is easy. It just turns to k at the end, right? Lock. Like lakpa means hand. Okay. Lakna dorje means pani. Okay. Lagna dorje. He who holds the diamond in his hand. Okay. Lagna dorje. Lak. Okay. Lang. What you would expect. You see, you don't say langa, okay? This is nga, but when it becomes a suffix letter, its own a vowel disappears. You don't say langa, you say lang. Suffix letters, natural a vowel disappears. See what I mean? You don't pronounce this langa. Because if the dot was here, if there was another dot here, this would be what? Langa, langa. But when it's one syllable, this loses its natural a vowel and it becomes lang. Lang. You see what I mean? Lang. This is lot. I'm going to mark all the normal ones. How do you want to put a mark on the normal ones? Let's put it like a, these are normals, okay? We skip these two because they're abnormal. Okay. Let's go to lup. Whether you put a P or a B here, you can fight about it. I don't know. I'm not very consistent. Lup. Sounds like P to me today. Okay. Lup. This one's easy, right? Lam rim. This one's easy. Lar. So you got to make yourself a note on your notes that this equals normal. Predictable. La is another predictable one. That's all the normal ones, okay? That's all the normal ones. Let's start adding vowels and see if anything gets weird or not. Okay, let's stick a giku on here. it changes to ling. No problem. Ling. Predictable. Ling. Let's stick a shakyu over here. And you got Luke. No problem. Luke. Okay. Let's try a dengbu over here. Lip. Let's try a naro over here. Lom. All predictable. That's all the vowels you'll ever see. These 6 behave themselves. That's a mayingak. Okay. Mayingak means it's a logic term for you say something that implies something else. You see what I mean? These 6 behave themselves. Meaning that 4 don't behave themselves. Okay? Well, what happens with those 4? These are, let's mark them like this. This is very Tibetan. These 2 act sort of similar. I'll give you an example. By the way, these are nonsense syllables. They don't exist, some of them. This should have been what? Lad. Lad. And in Ladakh it still is. Okay? This should have been las. Okay? This should have been lad, this should have been las. Something happens. When you get into the center of any country, the language starts evolving. You know? If you don't think so, man, get out of here, man. You know, I mean, New York City. I mean, normally, the population centers, the language evolves more quickly. It corrupts itself more quickly. What has happened in central dialect, but not in Ladakh, okay, is that these 2 letters drop out completely. You don't even hear them anymore. Okay? In order to compensate for that disappearance, there's a phenomenon called linguistic compensation. Okay? It means there has to be some other change that indicates to the listener there used to be a da here, there used to be a sa here. Okay? 2 things happened. Okay? 2 things happen. The vowel changes to an umlauted version. Okay, those of you who know German, umlaut. What does an umlaut mean? A without the umlaut is a. A with an umlaut is sort of an eh sound. Okay? Eh. E without an umlaut, by the way, E doesn't take an umlaut in normal German or anything like that. But it doesn't in Tibetan either, we can just scratch it, okay? Nothing happens to Giku, alright? I'll just give you the ones that change, okay? A, I, U. Der Führer. Okay? This is U, right? And this is I, like ew. Okay, okay. There is no, I don't know how to write it. There is no English word like that. I mean, I don't like the name Führer, but that's what it is, okay. The other one is O. This is like Führer. I don't know how to pronounce that. I mean, I don't know how to spell it exactly. I think that's it. Führer. Okay. And this is like schön in German. I don't know if that's the correct spelling, but I believe that's schön meaning beautiful. Okay, say O. Oh, is it E-N? Okay, well, I don't, anyway. Okay. Anyway, say this one. U, 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 U. O, O, okay? What's the closest English sound to each of those? Because please use that for pronunciation. 249 million Americans don't know what an umlaut is. Don't torment them in your Dharma books, okay? All right? The principle of pronunciation, the reason to put pronunciation is to, as closely as possible, to approximate your native sound without using special symbols. If you want to use some special symbols, you know, you could come out with, you know, that's a linguistic, that's the way to do that in linguistics. Don't torment your readers. They will dump your book. They'll skip, mentally they'll skip your diacritics. Or they'll drop them. And a poor country like Ceylon will end up as Sri Lanka, when it was a Shri. The whole country got misspelled because some guy dropped the diacritic, got lazy and dropped. Poor old Bodhicitta. You see what I mean? Poor old Sunyata. You see what I mean? People don't pronounce them, they skip them, and later people wipe them out, and poor thing, a country got misspelled. Okay? Kind of sad. Okay.
It's still pronounced that way.
No, it is, yeah, but it's spelled wrong. You cannot tell from the spelling that it's pronounced that way. Which reminds me, I forgot a subjoined letter. We'll come back to it. No, I didn't. Yeah, I did. Okay, anyway. Okay, so what happens? The da drops out, and I promised you 2 linguistic compensations. Okay, one is the umlauting. The other is this one gets shorter, and this one gets longer. So la changes to le, le. Okay, it almost sounds like it has a dengbu on it, right? Le. And the whole sound gets shortened. Le. You hear that cut off? Le. 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 You see what I mean? Le. Le. Okay, that's all. Le. 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 I'll give you a very common example in Tibetan. Ki. 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 Okay, one more time. Ki. 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 Why is this really important? In Tibetan grammar, this means of, apostrophe S. This is John's book, apostrophe S. In Tibetan grammar, this means by John. This act was done by John. This would be John Ki, and this would be John Ki. Okay, big difference, you see? And you have to appreciate that. So, le, 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 le. In a different spelling, this means brain gray matter, and this means karma. You see, and you have to distinguish between them. You don't want to get your karma and your brain matter mixed up. Le, 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 le. With a, sorry?
The difference between the Brazilian and the long lengthening here, sound-wise?
This just totally drops out.
No, but the long version, the extending of the vowel sound
Oh, it's not that dip like that, no. It's just slightly extenuated. And attenuated, anyway. And if you hear a Tibetan say it, it'll be the difference between ki and ki. I mean, it'd be very subtle. You know. Except when they're teaching scripture and they'll go, Jetson ka bai ki, because they want the student to understand I'm saying by Jetson Kappa and not by of Jetson Kappa. And they'll say, get it? Ki. I even see some kambas say kis, you know, to make it clear to their students. Okay. If I put a shapkyu on it, lu, umlaut, right? Lu, 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 Lu. Without that, lu. See? Lu, 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 lu. Okay? Let's try it with, what's the next vowel? Dengbu? Le. 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 It gets a slight giku sound. I'm not going to torture you with that. So it's really le, le, like shirab. Hear that? Almost a giku, right? Shirab. That's the spelling. Dengbu with a sa. Shirab. Okay, it's not quite shirab. Okay. Let's do it with a naro. By the way, you're getting tired. I'm losing you, and that's okay. You're getting 6 weeks of stuff in one day. Listen to the tape later, okay? Don't get discouraged. If you do it in 6 weeks, you'll absorb it. There's no way you can do it in one day. And I don't expect you. Just flow with it. Just make the sounds and forget what I taught the moment before and go on, okay? Le, 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 lo, le, lo, le, lo, le, lo, le. Okay? You got it. That's all. Na does not drop out, but the umlaut rule applies. Okay? Which means this umlaut thing here. The vowel value changes. It doesn't get longer or anything like that, and you don't lose the na, but the vowel does change. Okay, here we go. Lo, lun, lo, lun. See, the o gets umlauted, but the na does not disappear. Okay, only one of the linguistic compensations occurs. Okay, lo, lun. That's all. Okay, it does get umlauted. Let's do this. La and len. Okay, la, len. Len, 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 len. Okay? Same. La, len, len. Okay? If you, 90% of Tibetans, frankly, spell really badly. When you get a letter, you have to sit there and not look at it and sound it out. And you can pretend what they're saying. You see what I mean? Because of all this stuff. You see what I mean? In Gero College, in Serme Monastery in Tibet, out of 500 monks, 2 of them knew how to write. Okay? Properly. You know. They just weren't trained in writing. Incredible debaters. Incredible scholars. They did not, composition was not part of the course. There were many geshes who couldn't write at all. There are some senior monks in Sera who can't sign their names. Okay? And that's, it's a weakness of the course, I think, you know. We have one guy left. You see him? He's hiding up there.
So they can't rewrite the text.
Say again? No, I know. But you should be able to write it out, you know, if you want to give your student something, or, you know, something like that. Or write somebody a letter, you know. But actually, letter writing was considered very distracting in the monastery. It was considered almost a weakness to be writing letters. We left out this guy, right? By the way, we're going to mark this with something else. I don't know, what do you want to call this? Check? Why? He did not disappear, but he got umlauted. These 2 disappeared. This one makes it longer, this one makes it shorter, and you got the umlaut. But this one, it stayed there, but you got an umlaut. Okay? We got one guy left here. Well, what are we going to use for him? I don't know. What do you want to use for him? Some kind of a mark. Let's do this. Let's do a star. Okay. A is only used as a suffix letter in a syllable which has a prefix letter, and we didn't do prefix letters yet. Okay, what's a prefix letter? How do you spell no? In English? No, you don't. This is no. Okay. This you could call a prefix letter. All prefix letters, or 99% of prefix letters in Tibetan, are silent. You don't hear them. Okay? This used to be pronounced, by the way. K is from J. It used to be Jano, which comes from the Sanskrit znya. And in Russian it's still znya. Okay? Like wisdom, pradznya. Not prajna. Okay? Pradznya. Okay? That's why the K is there, by the way, because this is a direct cognate from Sanskrit. But anyway, what I'm trying to say is, I can't show you the use of ah without using a prefix letter that you haven't met yet. But I'm going to give you a silent prefix letter. Okay, here we go. This anticipates class 6. Since you're getting so spacey, I'll probably take another break. But we got to finish this one, okay? Is a suffix letter. What we call the main letter, okay? One of the primary exercises for people learning Tibetan is to learn to identify the main letter. What is the main letter here? What's the letter that I should be pronouncing out of these three? Because one is silent. Okay, this one is silent. You go for this one. Now, is it always the middle one? Not at all, and we'll go over the rules. Okay. But this happens to be pronounced ga. Say ga. Ga. This whole syllable is pronounced ga. Ga. What is the effect of this suffix letter? Nothing. It doesn't do anything. Okay. It doesn't do anything at all. Okay. It's just a plain old ah sound. Okay. Ga. Okay. Ga. So why do they spell it like that? Orthographic purposes. Okay. By the way, I'm going to ask you a question. Am I pronouncing this as if it were a ka with a head letter? Or am I pronouncing it as if it were a ka by itself? I'll say it again. Ga. Ga. Yeah, with. I didn't say ka. Okay? I didn't say ka. I said ga. Ga, as in God. Okay? Meaning, if you put a prefix letter on it, or if you put a head letter on it, same pronunciation. Which is not the Brazilian. Okay? It's not ka. It's ga. Ga. Okay? And this letter, this suffix letter, don't do nothing. He doesn't have any job at all. Okay? How do you jorlok a prefix letter? And then we're done with the prefix letter and I'll give you a break. Okay? How do you jorlok a prefix letter? I'm sorry. Suffix letter. Let's just do an easy one. Lam rim, okay? Let's jorlok this one and then you don't need me. I mean, you'll get it after that. By the way, this is end of phrase marker. End of phrase. Is it a end of sentence marker, like a period? No.
It's like a comma.
Sometimes it's more than a period and sometimes it's less than a period. Okay? Pronounce this? Lamrim. Lamrim. Okay? Lamrim. Jorlok it. Follow with me. La. Ma. Lam. Ra. Giku. Ri. Ma, rim. Okay, one more time. La, ma, lam. Ra, giku, ri, ma, rim. Jorloking accretes. You see what I mean? At each stage, you say what you have so far. You don't go C-A-T, cat. You go C-A-Ca, T, cat. It accretes, it accumulates. Okay, and at each stage, you say what you have so far. I'll give you another example. The word for karma. La, sa, le. Right? Le. Umlauted and stretched out. Now I ask you a question. When you jorlok, do you anticipate what the vowel is going to be? Or do you say what it is so far? I'll say it again and you tell me. La sa le. La sa le. You do not anticipate. You see what I mean? You only say what it is so far, as if the listener didn't know what was coming. La. Sa. Le. You don't say le, sa, le. You see what I mean? Because you don't have the sa yet. Okay? That's a principle of jor-loking. I forgot one important, this is back in the, this is actually a head letter that I left out. I'm sorry I didn't do it. These are two exceptions to head letters which you should teach your students.
So there's 5 head letters?
No, it's a la head letter, but it's not pronounced the way you would guess, so that's why I want to go over it. It's not pronounced in a normal way. La head letter on top of a ha is abnormal. It does something really weird. It turns itself upside down. And some idiot British linguist who didn't realize this has misspelled the capital of Tibet because they couldn't get straight the difference between transcription and pronunciation. And the poor capital C of Tibet got miswritten and it's going to be that way forever. It's not Lhasa, it's Halasa. But if you were going to transcribe it, it would be Lhasa. This for purposes of spelling, this for purposes of saying. Okay? And they didn't get it right. And the poor thing got misspelled. And it's stuck that way. Okay? And people still don't get it straight. Okay? It's not a La Harampa Geshe, it's a Halarampa Geshe. Okay? Right? But they keep spelling it L-H-A. All those poor Halarampas who work so hard are Laharampas. Okay? Alright? That's why I didn't do a Haramba. I didn't want people Okay, anyway. Deity is La. Angel is La. Okay? So, in the case of La with a Ha under it, you turn it over. Okay? I have one more exception like that. I'm sorry. Whoa, God bless. I'll give you a clue and you'll say, oh, I know what it is. We'll go back to coleslaw. Look it up in your notes. It wasn't slaw, it was da. Da. Okay, same sound. La on top of a da changes. Out of the rules. Exception. It changes to da. Most famous example, the home monastery of Jetsun himself. Ganden. There's no N there. It's ga that we just had, meaning bliss, and den, meaning possessing. And together it's ga-den, so people say Ganden. And you get many letters from Tibetans in South India that spells it, you know, with a na, Ganden. You see what I mean? All right, those are two exceptions. Let's take a rather major break there. I'll make a few phone calls. Take like a 15, 20-minute break. Get something. Yeah? Okay, there are 5 prefix letters. They are like the K in no. You see what I mean? They're silent. Or in knife, right? Not pronounced. Okay? For example, if you had, that's Jorlo ka ra kar, say ka ra kar, ka ra kar. Add a prefix letter. The rules for changes in pronunciation are the same as with the head letters. Okay? I'll repeat. The rules for changes in pronunciation are the same as with the head letters. What does that mean? First column, no change. Nothing changes. First column is already strong, already high, so it can't go anywhere. Just the same. This kar is pronounced the same as this kar. Okay? The rules for the change on the second column. Nothing. Nothing changes. Okay? Rules for the change on the third column, it's as if it had a head letter. It goes from Brazil to a normal English sound. Ka to ga. Cha to da. Pa to ba. Okay? Easy. Rules for the fourth column, which column is that? Nasal. Everything gets high, okay? And it's the same as with the head letter. Nga changes to nga. Nya changes to nya. Ma changes to ma. Na changes to na, okay? With a prefix letter. That's all. Easy. Two of them cause trouble. Extra trouble. These two. Ma and a. I'll give an example. Without any prefix letter, this would have been ka, right? Brazil. Oh, you guys are sleepy. Ka, ka. With a prefix letter, ga. Okay? Without the prefix letter, ka. With the prefix letter, ga. Okay? A and ma, before a third column letter, change to the corresponding prenasal. Nga. Okay? Nga. Okay? So I'll give you 3 examples now. Four examples. One, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Pronounce this. Somebody's tried to prenasal a Brazil. You never prenasal a Brazil. Okay? Okay? Ka. Ka. Okay? This is plain old ga. As in God. Okay? Ka. Ga. You don't say God. Okay? You just say God. Okay? Ka. Ga. 2 and 3 are exactly the same. Ga. 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 Ka. Not the same, right? Ga. Ga. Ka. How about this one? Nga. Prenasal. Slight sound, N sound before it. Ga. Nga. Nga. Where do you find these prenasals? Well, just go to its next door neighbor in the columns. Okay? What do I mean? If I'm drawing the third column, what is it? You know that jingle? Gaja da ba za. Okay? Gaja da ba, za. Okay. What is its next door neighbor in the fourth column over there? There's nga over there. There's nya over there. There's na over there. There's ma over there. And forget za, it breaks all the rules, okay? Pick up the prenasal from its neighbor. This is linguistically the only thing you can do. Because this needs a guttural prenasal. This needs a palatal prenasal. This needs a dental prenasal. This needs a labial prenasal. The prenasals have to come from the same part of your mouth. That's what I'm saying. You want a prenasal ga? Use a nga, nga, nga. For example, sangha, the word sangha. It's not only easier, it's linguistically necessary. You can't pick up the prenasal from your lips to use in your throat. Okay? Okay, like asanga, the name asanga. Or singha, Singapore. Land of the lions, town of the lions. Okay, singha. It has to come from the corresponding row. See what I mean? If you're going to prenasal from your throat, you got to use a throat. If you're going to prenasal from the top of your mouth, you got to use a nya. What's an example? Prans nya. See there? Or you see they tie together. Okay. Nja, 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 nda, nda, mba, mba. You see what I mean? Pick up the prenasal from the next door neighbor. Okay? You don't need to learn it all now. Just listen, absorb it later. Don't try to remember all this, you'll go crazy. Go back and look at the video. Spend about 3 days on each one of these little classes. Okay? These are Java, well, anyway, applets. Okay? And then you go back to N for nya. Okay? Nja, nja. Okay? Don't worry about that. Nzin, for example. Tenzin, gatso. Tenzin. Okay? That's a prenasal. His Holiness's name. Tenzin. Okay? That's a prenasal. What's the big deal about prenasal? Because these 4 words are totally different meanings. Okay? Ka means where. Ga, I think, is a stirrup or a saddle. Ga means bliss. Nga means a couple. You see what I mean? And if you can't make the difference, you'll never learn Tibetan well. You'll always be 10 words will sound exactly the same to you. And that's why people don't learn Tibetan well. Okay? You have to be able to distinguish between them. So we had 5 prefix letters. 2 of them did prenasaling. Okay? I'll give you another example. This is the word for, do you know me? Sachimenu? Fire. It's the word for fire. If that's my accountant, I have to talk to him. This is the word in Tibetan for arrow. And it's what? Prenasal. Nda. Nda. Okay? So this is an open vowel sound, big fat vowel sound before prenasal. It's going to get very strong. How do you pronounce it? Menda. Menda. Okay? It's me, nda. Okay? Me, nda. Crush them together. Menda. Menda. What's that? What's a fire arrow? It's a rifle in Tibetan. Okay? Menda. Okay? Menda. All right? And then Tibetans are always misspelling it because they hear this na. So they're spelling it like this. Menda. You see what I mean? Because they hear a na there and they don't know about prenasals. Okay? They do them, but they don't know what they're doing. Okay? Menda, the word for gun. The prenasal is very strong in a 2-syllable word where the first syllable is an open vowel. Open vowel means there's no suffix letter here. There's nothing to keep the vowel from bumping right into that prenasal. Okay? We had kunda before, spouse. Ganden before. Okay? We had those examples. A couple other weird things happen that you have to know about. After the prefix letter ta, pa changes to wa for no reason in the world. If you don't like it, write it to me, Samboya. Care of Potala, I don't know, that was before that. Okay. And it gets strong and high. Wang. Wang. Okay? Wang. Wang. This is the initiation Wang. Okay? Wang, meaning power. Okay? Wang. It's almost like a okay? Wang. Okay? Wang. Very strong. Wang. Okay? It gets hot, stronger. Emphasis. Wang. Okay? Okay. Now what happens if you... Oh, I didn't do one of the subjoins. We better go back to that before I go on with this. We're going backwards, okay? Sorry. We gotta go back to yataks for a minute. Put this in your subjoin. This class 2, was it? Class, 4. Okay, class 4. It's going to be in the yataks. It's going to be with those yatak things, okay? It's something I forgot to go over. Sorry. The yataks are pretty predictable on these guys here, right? This ka went to what? Kya. Ka went to kya. Ka went to kya. Okay? Those were all predictable. Which is a Mayan gut. Meaning the rest. There's a row that I forgot to tell you is not predictable. These guys here. This should have been pya. This should have been pya. This should have been pya. This should have been mya. They don't do anything like that. They jump up 2 rows, which is why I drew all these rows for you. Don't ask me why. Have no idea. Okay. I mean, that's just the way it is. I always say, write it to me, somebody. Don't complain to me. Okay. So, how do you pronounce this? Say pa, yatak, cha. You see? It's not pia. Pa, tired, right? Pa, yatak, cha. Pa, yatak, cha. And ma, yatak, nya. Okay, that's all. All right, they jump up. They jump up 2 rows. To summarize, the 4th row with a yatak jumps up 2 rows. I'm expecting a call from somebody named Lloyd, so let me know. Okay. Now I can do the other exception for you. You already had this one. We're back to class 6, okay? You already had this exception. After da, ba changes to wa, okay? And this is not bang, it's wang, okay? Wang. I'll give you another example. If that wa gets a yatak, it changes to ya. Okay? Ya. And these are both strong. Okay? Both strong. Ya. Ya. Okay? Pronounce this one. Yar. Low tone, remember? 6th row. Yar. 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 Okay, stronger. This one means to go upwards. Yar. This one means to... I forget. It's summer, I think. Yeah. Summer. Okay. Yar. Totally different meaning. All right? Got it? 2 exceptions on the prefix letters. Just for your information, the change of ba to wa also occurs whenever ba comes as the 2nd syllable of a 2-syllable word. I'll give you an example. Ba also changes to wa whenever it occurs as the 2nd syllable of a 2-syllable word. How do you know that this is a 2-syllable word? You have to know the word before you know it. Sorry. You don't know how to pronounce it until you know what the word means. You see what I mean?
Don't you look from the dot in the end point?
No, because it could have been 2 monosyllabic words. Like ba, we say rai pa, which would be the cow over the fence or something like that. See what I mean? If it's 2 1-syllable words, it stays pa. If it's the 2nd syllable of a 2-syllable word, it changes to wa. You don't know how to pronounce it until you know what it is. You don't know what it is till you learn how to pronounce it. It's a catch-22. You'll get used to it. Okay. Yarwa. Yarwa. By the way, ya with a prefix letter also gets strong. Okay. Yar. 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 These 2 are pronounced the same. Okay. Yar. 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 Okay, that's all. This yar means to borrow something. Okay, or to loan something, which can be very confusing because the word is the same. All right, but you can worry about that when you get to the meaning. I'm just teaching you the sounds. Got it? And the wa is the 2nd syllable. Yeah, as the 2nd syllable of a 2-syllable word, ba always changes to wa. This is very important because all infinitives of verbs in Tibetan end in wa, normally, or often. Let's say that often. When you say to borrow, you see the to in Tibetan is a wa. So this comes very, very frequently. You very, very frequently have wa appearing as a 2nd syllable because all verbs are expressed as infinitives. To borrow, to go, to eat. Instead of saying to, they say wa at the end. That indicates that this is a verb. Often. Very often. Okay. As a 3rd syllable, it was also. Example. You tell me what that means. As a 2nd or 3rd syllable, wa can also mean er or ist. Yeah, a Thasian or a Thasa, a New Yorker, you know. So Thasawa, Serawa means what? He's a monk from Sera. He's a Serawa. He's not a Debunwa or a Gandamba. Okay. All right. Okay. Okay. And so a 3rd syllable, again, if it's a pa, it changes to wa. Okay. I think we got all the prefix letters. We covered all the prefix letters. That class is hereby finished. It's like... Oops. Okay. That's all right.
In case you want to try again.
Later. I think maybe you learned everything now. Prefix letters, head letters, suffix letters. One more thing you might run into. Okay, I'll start doing weird miscellaneous things. This is all miscellaneous stuff, okay? I think we covered everything.
What is the allowance cut off punctuation?
Yeah, we'll do punctuation more. Since we have 7 minutes left. Grammar's another story, okay? By the way, Tibetan grammar is primitive, which makes trouble for translators, but it makes it easy to learn Tibetan, okay? This is the first row, remember? Okay, this is the first row across. Sanskrit has 5 letters in the first row, okay, and each of the other rows. What do they have that's extra? They go like this. This is, for example, the D in dharma. Dharma. Okay, there's a D. Okay. Say ka, 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 ga, nga. Okay. So if you think about it, let's draw all the possibilities. This is wrapping up the class. Okay. Yeah. We got a ka. We got a ka. We got a Brazil, ka. We got a head letter, ga. We got a prefix, nasal, ga. We got a Sanskrit, ga. Those are all the possible K sounds in Tibetan. And I started this class, you didn't know what the difference was between any of them. And now you have all of them. Okay, we'll go through them again. Ka, 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 ga, nga, ga. Now you know the difference. And if you live with that, if you pronounce it that way, if you study it that way, your Tibetan will be perfect. And then you'll be able to understand scripture much more fluently. I'm going to go again. Ka, 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 ga, as in God. Okay, ga. We do have this sound. The sounds we have in English are this one and this one. We don't have the other ones in English. Okay, so they should feel uncomfortable. Ka, ka, as in cop. Okay, cop. Ka. Okay, ga, as in God. Nga, and ga. And these 3 we don't have in English. Sorry, 4, right? 1, 2, 3, 4 we don't have in English. Okay. This equals ka, right? No change in the sound. This equals ka. No change. This equals ka. See? No change in the sound. Remember that this little prenasalizer only prenasalizes on the 3rd column. Okay. This doesn't equal anything else. Only by itself, only standing by itself can it ever be Brazil. Okay. This equals okay. A little note on punctuation marks. By the way, theoretically you can read any Tibetan now perfectly. Any sound. You can make any Tibetan sound perfectly. Okay. Oh, I forgot one more. There's very, very rare. Remember after da, the change to wa? With the yata could change to ya. With a ratak it goes rel, rel, rel. Very rare, extremely rare. Don't worry about it. Okay. What's some more miscellaneous stuff? Bye. Yeah, you're welcome. See you later. We didn't do secondary suffix letters. Okay. There's not much to say about them. For example, Jorlok, ra, ra, giku, ri, ka, rik. Okay. Now, secondary suffix letter. Ra, giku, ri, ka, sa, rik. Same sound. The sa is silent. So why put it there? Homonyms, different meaning. Orthographical purposes. This rik means mind. This rik means family or logic. Okay? So totally different meaning. Okay? When you jorloka a secondary suffix, you do not accumulate. I didn't say ragiku riga rik sa rik. Okay? Notice it? I said ragiku riga sa rik. You don't go ragiku riga rik sa rik. Okay? This is not accumulative. Okay? There's an ancient suffix letter, secondary suffix letter, da. And it dropped out of written Tibetan. You will never see it unless you have a very old manuscript. It disappeared. You know it's there because of certain grammatical things that happen. It's used for past tense of verbs and things like that. And it disappeared from the written language. You might see it in very old manuscripts, but you don't have to worry about it. So if somebody asks you how many secondary suffix letters, you can say 2. Well, how many can you see in the written language nowadays? Only 1. Okay. Huh? There used to be 2. One of them has dropped out of the written language, but its effects are still seen in the way grammar particles are attached to this. Okay. But we won't get into that. One more thing about jorloking, okay? When you have a prefix letter and you want to indicate to your listener that there's a prefix letter, you say the letter and then you say O, okay? So the way you would jorlok this is Tao, ka, ra, kar. Okay? Please repeat. Tao, ka, ra, kar. And that wo indicates to your listener, this is a prefix letter, okay? You don't just say ta, ka, ra, kar. You say tao, ka, ra, kar. Okay, so when you're jorloking, you indicate it to your listener that way. This is a prefix letter. This is a silent prefix letter. Okay? There's very few words where one of the prefix letters or something like that is actually pronounced. Here's one of them. You see, mostly head letters and prefix letters are silent. Here's a case where one of them is not. Very rare. But I like this word, so I think you got to know this one. This is not do-je. This is dorje. Okay, and that happens with a very, very few words. Okay, the head letter is actually pronounced. Very rare. Okay. Few things on punctuation. When you have a Tibetan word, you must put a she. This is called a she. Okay. That indicates the end of a word or the end of a phrase. Is it the end of a sentence? No. It could be more than a sentence, it could be less than a sentence. Shes are used for commas, shes are used for colons, shes are used for end of paragraphs, like that. Before lines of poetry, you'll put a she, you see? You'll have this and then a line of poetry and then this. Normally there's not a she in front of a line, unless this is to indicate this is poetry. This is a line of poetry. When you get to a big stop, like a very major section in a text, they'll put two she's. When you get to a really big section, they'll have four she's, grouped like this. Okay? That means like end of text or something. And there are things called gens, which are ornaments. Okay? Like, this is a bungyan. Which is like before a title of a book or something. There's a very special ornament that's only used for His Holiness the Dalai Lama's name. He's sometimes called the higher being, Kongsa, and then you'll see this special ornament. Okay. So don't get confused. It's like that. I forget the name of it, I don't know the name of it, but it's a special, you'll only see it with His Holiness's name. And only with this form of his name, which means the high one. Okay. I'll do the numbers for you real quick since we have -3 minutes. The one that'll screw you up, and I predict it, is 5, because it looks like a 4. How many times have I done accounting in the monastery and made that mistake? Okay.
How did you draw?
Well, I do it like this, but you're probably not supposed to do it that way. Like a U.
That's a 5.
I'm sorry, 4. Duh. Okay. It's . When you alphabetize things in Tibetan, you go by the main letter. Okay? If you're using a dictionary, go for the main letter. I'll teach you a few rules about locating the main letter. Generally speaking, Mayingak, anything that has something hanging off of it is the main letter. Okay? You know, anything with a vowel on it is normally Mayingak, the main letter. Okay. Anything with a ratak on it is the main letter. Whenever you have 3 letters in a row and there's nothing hanging off of them, it's probably the middle one. Unless the last one is sa. Because you know that sa can be a secondary suffix letter. Okay? So the main letter here is the la. This is lak. But you knew that anyway because you knew la could never be a prefix letter. And these things you have to get used to. Okay? And I can't teach you that. I used to have my students memorize all the combinations. Then I realized if I just read with them for 2 hours, they would get it right. It's osmosis, But that's how you find the letter the main letter. It's important because you pronounce off of the main letter, and it's important because alphabetizing in a dictionary is done off the main letter. Okay. The order of alphabetization is normally no attachments, and then, see if I get it right, subjoined letters, and then prefix letters, like that. Okay? If I think, I haven't used a dictionary in a long time, huh? No, it's okay. You'll figure it out. Okay. If you use it on a computer, it doesn't matter. It just goes straight to the right one. You see. One nasty exception you should know about. Okay. In Tibetan, you might think this is the main letter because it has something hanging off of it. And I said anything that has something hanging off of it is probably the main letter, but that's why I said probably. Okay? This comes constantly in Tibetan. We call it A-giku-i. Say A, giku-i. A-giku-i. If you jorlok this, you do it as follows. Tau, ka, A-giku-i, kei. Okay? Kei. You see, this is E at the end. This is like apostrophe S. But it's so common that I think you better learn it separately. Okay? It comes so often that you better learn it separately. Okay? This is called a diphthong. Diphthong means two vowel sounds coming together, like au or ai or uu. And they're very rare in Tibetan. They don't come in Tibetan much. There's another example, and then we're done. I know no one's going to say biu, because everybody knows that a yatak on a fourth row jumps up to the second row and becomes chiu. Okay? Say chiu. Chiu. U is a diphthong, is a second vowel sound, which is used for the IE in Tibet, in English. Mikey, Tommy, Sammy, and it's a diminutive. It makes it small. Ja means bird. Jiu means a birdie, a little birdie. Okay, you see what I mean? It means the smallness. Do is a rock. Diu is a bullet. You see a pebble, small rock. You see what I mean? And you'll get used to that. Okay? I don't think there's anything else. Yeah, you can now pronounce anything. Okay? You just have to absorb that. I probably forgot a few exceptions here and there, but that's the main thing. Go back and practice it. All right, like take a couple of lines of text. You can take that Donglen book and try to pronounce it. Okay, and you should sit with a Tibetan and pronounce it to them, and they'll correct you in certain things. You'll have a little trouble picking out the main letter, but you'll get used to it. You have to learn to pick out the main letter to use a dictionary. Okay. That's about it.
One dictionary.
Dictionaries. You never put a she after a ga. Okay? It's always just empty. Okay? This is a typographical thing. You never put a she like that. Okay? I don't know why. I guess it might be confused with the edge of the ga. You see what I mean? Or something like that. Sometimes that she will be moved off to the next word. You see what I mean? To the next sentence. To the front of the next sentence. When a word ends in nga, like rang, you are required to put a tsek before the she. And only with nga. Only with nga. Okay? That's probably to prevent this, which looks like maybe might be mistaken for a ga. You see what I mean? But that's a typesetting rule. Okay? When you have a single syllable beginning a line, like it ended, you know, the last two words are going to be lam rim. And the lam is up there, and the rim is down here. There's a different kind of she. I forget what it looks like. You can check it out. We have to check a text. I haven't seen any off of a computer for a while. Anyway, it's a different kind of she. I forget, what does it look like? Oh, yeah, it looks like that, maybe. Yeah, it's like that. Okay, but if you wonder why it looks like that, it's only to alert you that this is a single syllable beginning a line. And because it's going to be hanging out there by itself. It's almost like a widow in Western type setting, or an orphan, I forget what they are. But the point is that you use one of those and to indicate that that's a single syllable starting a line. Okay. Which dictionaries are good? Sarat Chandra Das's dictionary is the only dictionary for scripture that there is right now. There's sort of a list of Dharma words put out by the library in Dharamsala, which is okay, but not great. Das is antiquated. You know, it's 100 years old. It has a lot of errors in it. He was a great scholar, then the British government got a hold of it and changed it, you know, and messed it up. Some, you know, like missionaries or something. So it's not a great dictionary, but it's all we have. There's a 3-volume dictionary that came out of Tibet called the Great Dictionary, which is extraordinary. And it's being translated now in London with one of the authors. That project got sidetracked, and it might be 4 or 5 years before you see that dictionary come out. Jeffrey Hopkins has an excellent dictionary on computer, and every once in a while he prints it out and he gives it to a local copy shop, and he says you can copy it for anybody who orders it. You see, so you can order the photocopy. You see what I mean? And it's like 3 volumes, and it has the Sanskrit also. So that's a really good one. But then you get all these Hopkinisms, you know, like valid cognizer for normal perception, you know what I mean? So, you know, as long as you can deal with that, it's all right. Some of our people are working on a hypertext dictionary, contextual hypertext dictionary, which means it'll be only online. And you'll type in the word that you're looking for. It'll jump to the day that it was explained in a class. And the Tibetan lights up and the English lights up, and you get to see it in a sentence. So it helps you to translate it better. And you get my translation, which is always right. So self-existently, from its own side. So we're working on that. We have the Great Dictionary on disk, and you can use that, but you need to know Tibetan, because the definition is in Tibetan. It's an extraordinary dictionary. There's a colloquial dictionary by Melvin Goldstein and Norman Tundip-Narkid, who taught me this system. He traded it for a green card, and so his name's not on the cover. But it's only good for colloquial. It's good for reading newspapers and stuff like that. There's some ancient dictionaries by early British diplomats in Tibet, like Charles Bell. There's one by Somos, who was a Hungarian or Transylvanian, I think, which is pretty good for its time, but it's like 100 and something years old. I would stick with Das. I would buy the small compact one in the Indian version, which is cheap. And for now, that's all you can use. The real best dictionary is to live next to a Geshe. Seriously, I never used a dictionary for 20 years. I just went up and asked my Lama, what's this word mean? It's much, much better. So if you can be near a good Lama, it's much better than having a dictionary. If you have access to a Lama, don't use a dictionary, because a dictionary will screw you up. It's much better to get a native explanation of a word from a human being. And frankly, in 20 years, I've never used a dictionary. I've either asked my Lama or used the Great Dictionary. So that, that's the way I would do it, if you can. If you can, get near Geshe Wangdu, save up your questions, something like that. That's about it. I gotta go. You can pronounce anything now, all right? And go over the video and learn it, and teach it to other people that way. If you never learn all these tricks, you will never learn Tibetan well. If you learn them from the first day, then you have a good shot, because those words sound different, and you have to be able to distinguish between them to read properly. Because when you read, you sound out things in your mind. And if they all sound alike, you're in trouble. Okay. And please learn Tibetan. If you have any possibility to learn it, please learn it. There's 200,000 books to be translated, and somebody got to do it. And things are not going to get better. Don't think there's Tibetans somewhere who are learning Tibetan. There aren't. You know, the monasteries are struggling. Tibetan in Tibet is dying. Tibetan in Tibetan communities in India is pretty much dead already. They can't even understand me when I speak Tibetan to them. Much less the diaspora. You know, people in America, Tibetans in America, their children can't speak any Tibetan. And the parents can't understand much Tibetan either. If you can learn to debate, your Tibetan and your understanding of scripture will jump about 200% quickly. So it's a little hard, but if you can learn to debate, it's like writing a composition every 2 minutes. You see what I mean? You can sit someone down and say, write a letter in Tibetan, and then you can sit there for 2 hours and critique it for them. But you can debate with them for 10 minutes and they'll learn just as much. So debating is fantastic, also because it mixes the ancient language with the modern language. So you learn how to tell a guy he's a dumb, stupid idiot, but then you also learn all the scriptural language. You see what I mean? You know, and it's a very sweet mix if you can learn it that way. Okay? All right, let's do a mandala. Pamela. Okay, cool. See you later. Oh, my pleasure. Teach this system to other people. It's cool, you know, and they'll pronounce everything right. Okay.